Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, in our previous class, we learned about how to handle the non-primitive types in TypeScript. So, we discussed about the primitive and non-primitive. So, non-primitive means we learned about how to handle array and how to handle an object and how do we deal with array of objects, how to declare them, we discussed. Next, in non-primitive types, we have a map type. So generally in JavaScript, what is difference between map and object? We discussed, I think, in the beginning. What is difference is map and object both are key and value collections. Map keys can be any type, value can be any type. So here map is a generic type. Generic type means we can decide what type of keys and values it can handle. Actually, map keys can be any type, value can be any type, but we can restrict. In JavaScript, we cannot restrict. That is the reason map is structureless. One key can be string, another key can be number. But here it is different. So usually JavaScript map type is a key and value collection. It is a key and value collection. JavaScript map type is a key value collection. Key can be any type and value also any type. Any type. And what is another point about map is it provides implicit methods and properties. So to handle interactions. So that is the reason it is faster than object. Actually, it is faster than object because it provides all implicit methods. But in TypeScript, what is speciality is TypeScript. TypeScript defines map as generic type. Later, we will detailedly discuss about generic concept. Right? But what is generic type is you can restrict the key and value types. You can restrict the key and value types. Actually, they are type safe and they can handle any type, but we can restrict because they are generic. Actually, how generics are defined is syntactically when you configure so var data and it is a map type. Actually, map is a generic. Generics are defined in an angle bracket. So we have to define the key type and comma, we have to define the value type. That's how we need to define. Then automatically, when you allocate memory for map, now the key type and value type will be determined according to that. So will be determined according to it. So map is a generic. Usually in JavaScript, this any type and value any type. So for example, now we are using here and you can see, let's configure the map type. So if you want to handle the map type, so where data is a map and map is a generic one. That means here we need to define the key type. The key type is, for example, I want key as a number and value as a string. We define like this. Now you allocate memory for map. Now what happens is, how do we store data in a map? So by using data dot set. Set is for storing the data, get is for accessing the data, map have methods. So set, and you can see this time the key should be number only. That means you can restrict it to only number and value must be string only. Earlier it was not possible. Earlier key can be any type, value can be any type, but we can restrict. Suppose you want value any type, then what we have to do? Here we will any type. Usually key is any type, value is any type. So it can be number and now value can be any type. It can be string, it can be a number, you can store anything. So the generic allows you to configure. You can even change this. For example, if you say the key is string type and value any type, then here you are storing some data. It is not allowing the string a number key because it is expecting of a string. So it is expecting parameter of string. So you must define it as a string type. So we can decide the data type. So we can configure the data type. So how do we do that? Usually we need to define like this. So where data and it is a map and key is some number and value can be any. You can configure like this, or you can define where data map key can be string and it can be string. Like this you can define any. And it also allows like JavaScript. In JavaScript, what is the default is data map and it can be any type. Value also can be any type. Actually, this is the default nature of map. That means key can be any type and value can be any type. That is the default nature of map. Data, right? So all methods are same. That means map manipulations are handled by using. So we have set. So it uses a key and a value. We have get. So get uses a key. Uses a key. And we have like delete key. We have like clear. It is used to remove all. We have has key. These are all methods. We have keys will return all keys. Values will return all values. Entries will return all keys and values. These are all generally in JavaScript manipulation same. To read all the keys, to read all the values. This already given in data binding. But only with the difference you will find in a TypeScript and in JavaScript is in JavaScript they are always any type key, any type value. Here we can put a restriction by using the generic. Right? So next important after understanding map, we have a regular expression. Regular expression type. Actually, in JavaScript, generally what we do in JavaScript, regular expression we directly write in a double slash. So in a double slash. Here, TypeScript, TypeScript provides REGEXP, regular expression as type to handle regular expression. To handle regular expression. So we have a special data type called REGEXP, that is regular expression. And it is enclosed in slash slash with meta characters and quantifiers. With meta characters and quantifiers. So regular expression is having a new type here. We have to use regular expression REGEXP. That is regular expression type. So generally, how do we write regular expression? Suppose we are having var password. Password is a string. And we have password admin123. And we are using a regular expression. That means pattern. Pattern is a regular expression. Then we have to use an regular expression. That is the type. Now regular expression will not allow any string. It will allow only an expression which should be enclosed in double slash. So that means we are using like question mark equal dot star square a hyphen z slash w some 4 comma 15. It is nothing but alphanumeric 4 to 15 characters, at least one uppercase letter. We return some pattern for that. Now we can verify if password is matching with what is it? Pattern. Pattern is the regular expression. Then we will put console log. We will say verified. And otherwise console log. So password 4 to 15 with at least one uppercase letter. This is the option we have to define. And now I run this, that is tsc index.ts and node index.js, and it is saying password should have at least one uppercase. We will put one uppercase letter, some uppercase letter in the password. And again, we need to compile and run this. And you can see it says verified. It is showing verified. So how do we write regular expressions in TypeScript is by using a type called REGEXP. regular expression, right? This is one regular expression type syntactically. So we write pattern is a regular expression and it should be enclosed with the meta characters and quantifiers. Enclosed with meta characters and quantifiers. They are defined in double slash. And you already know regular expression is verified by using match method. It is verified by using match method. So how do we handle a array object, array of objects, maps, regular expressions, right? Example, this is an example for regular expression. I will just give this example. This is example index.ts. This is just how to handle different data type. The one more data type that you come across is date type, right? Date type. And here to handle dates, you have to configure date as a type. So TypeScript date type is used to configure date and time values. So all date and time functions are same as in JavaScript. But you know that you cannot use these date and time functions in React directly. For that, what we have done, we 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 used some third-party date libraries, Day.js, Moment, Luxon. I showed you in MUI also. So we have to use them if in React directly, those functions will work. But how do you configure date this time? Earlier, we used to directly declare the date, but now what we do, where manufactured, it is a date is equal to new date by using the date constructor. This is going to load the current date. And if you want to define specific date, you can define the specific date here. Year, month, day, and hours, minutes, seconds like this, and milliseconds if you want. This is how you can store specific date. And how to access date, all date functions are there. So that means manufacture dot get hours, get date, get month, you can use them. Only the difference is how you define the date types, how you configure the date type. So syntactically, date is defined by using var mfd. So it is a date. And by using date constructor, we can load the current date. This is current date and time. If you want specific date and time, so then you just define the new date. And here you can define year, month, day like this. And hours, minute, seconds, and millisecond. You can configure specific date. This is the current date and time. And this is specific date and time. So all date functions are same. Then MFD you can use to local date string, or you can use MFD. So get month. So you can also use set month get, set methods all are same. No need to give the list. You already know that, right? So this is all the important points about variables and data types. So variables and data types are all same concepts. Only the point in TypeScript is strongly typed nature. In strongly typed nature, how to configure, how to use them, those techniques you have to understand. Variable declaration, initialization, rules all are same, right? You need to just know what is new in primitive and non-primitive data types. So now we have a complete clarity on handling different types of data in TypeScript, right? Now, next important operators are same. So statements are same. There is no change in operators and statements. JavaScript operators, TypeScript operators, all are same. JavaScript statements, TypeScript statements are all same. That means selection statements, iteration statements, looping statements, you know all of them. Arithmetic, logical, comparison, assignment operators. So statements, exception handling statements, jump statements, looping statements, iteration statements, selection statements, all are same. There is no change in the statements and operators. Now, what is another new thing here is some changes are there in functions, TypeScript functions. Few changes in TypeScript functions. Generally, what you done in JavaScript functions, you don't have any data type for function. So you don't have any parameter type for function. Function concept is same, but what is the new thing here is, so TS functions, TypeScript function requires type specification. Type specification for parameters and function. Type specification for both parameter and function. That means generally what we have to do, we are declaring. So how do we write a function? We know function and the function name, and we have parameter, but this time parameter requires a type. Parameter requires a type and function also requires a type. What is the return type? If it is not returning anything, it should be void. It should be void. So that is how we define function in TypeScript. So one small change is parameters needs data type, and complete function also requires a type. If it is not returning any value, then it is defined as void. That is only the difference here. But some more technical points are there in function. One more technical thing is that, what is that? Let's see. So here we are having a function. Function is like details. Details is a function. So then details function is having parameter. Parameter is some ID and some name and some price, something like this we have. And you see it shows error. Why? Because it's reasonable. Every parameter requires a type. That means you need to define the parameter type number. The name type is a string. All the types that you learned now, they are same. Here this is also a number, and you need to configure the type as what? Void. So it is going to print console.log, and it is going to print those details. ID is equal to ID. In the next line, name is equal to the name, and price is equal to the price. We have to define that. Suppose you are having another function called addition, and it takes a, it is a number type, and b is a number type, and the return type is also a number type. Then it returns a plus b. That's how we need to define. And you know that if it is a Boolean type, then it should return a Boolean expression. That means if it is a Boolean type, now return have a problem, because return is returning a number. It cannot return a number because the type is Boolean. Then we have to use a Boolean expression to return the values. This is generally how you configure the functions. How do you define the function? So that means string type or number type. How do you define the function? So one new thing is the parameters have data type and the function have a return type. Now, what is speciality here is you know how to access them. That means details. Now, what is speciality? Every parameter is mandatory. That means there is no chance you ignore. In general JavaScript, what happens if you ignore the parameter? It is set with undefined. It is set with undefined, but here you cannot ignore the parameter. So every parameter is mandatory. If you want, suppose this is ID, this is name. One parameter is missing. And what is the parameter missing? So price is not provided because it is expecting 3 arguments, but it got only 2. But price is optional. Then you can make it with a question mark. Now it is no problem. That means we already discussed this. It can be nullable. Even parameter can be nullable. Parameter can be nullable. But here one important point is parameters, if they are nullable, all nullable parameters must be at the end. That means you cannot have a required parameter following the optional parameter. A required parameter cannot follow optional parameter. That means all optional parameters must be at the end. For example, I am adding one more parameter after price. That is stock. Stock is a Boolean. Then it's showing some error. And what is the error? Error is reasonable. The error is nothing but a required parameter cannot follow an optional parameter. That is the rule. That means this also is optional parameter. That is okay. No problem. All optional parameters must be towards the end. So what is something new here is every parameter is a required parameter. Required parameter. You can configure optional parameter by using null reference character. Null reference character. And what is that null reference character? Question mark. Null is not highlighted. Yeah. Null reference character, that is question mark. But what is the rule here is a required parameter cannot follow an optional parameter. So hence make sure that all required all optional optional parameters. Parameters are last informal list or last informal list. That is one important thing. So you can have an optional parameter. So we can have a function, the function name, param1, param1, that is the type, and param2 question mark and its type. You can have a optional parameter. Second parameter is optional. And you know that if any optional parameters you are defining, then you need to write a logic for that. That means if that parameter is not provided, then what to do? So one new thing about function is the parameters and their types, and the function and its return type. How do you define the return type as void, or here I just give this as void or any specific return type. Accessing and using is same, and that means you see here, suppose I'm making this optional, then obviously you should write a logic here. So what is the logic? If price, that means if it is defined, then print price. If not defined, then don't print price. You print up to only name. That's how we do. And the addition is console.log. So we have addition is equal to, and we access addition function. Into that we pass values, right? Just for your understanding sake, I will run in a new window. You can run directly in the terminal. Right. And here we need to define same. What is that type? So here we have tsc index.ts and node index.js, and it is going to display those details. If price is defined, then it is going to print the price. Otherwise, it is not going to print the price. This is about the function parameters. And what else you learned about functions is same. Function can have REST parameters. But now here the point is, what is the type of REST parameter? What is the type of REST parameter? REST parameter is an array type. You know REST and spread. Already we know about these parameters. So REST and spread, these parameters are what type? So these are array type. That means if you are dealing with parameters here, you can configure the REST parameter. How do you define a REST parameter? Dot, 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 and the parameter name. That means some product related details. And it is showing an error. Why? Because REST parameter is an array type. How you declare an array type? We have to define the data type. And what type of array it is? It is an any type of array. It is an any type of array. That is REST parameter type. And you know the rules. Function can have only one REST parameter. REST parameter must be the last. And how do we collect the values from REST parameter? So we will declare some destructuring technique. That means we have ID, we have name, and we have price. And it is accessing data from which one? Product, which is an REST. That is usually how you define the REST. So REST parameters are same, spread approach is same, only the point data type. And because it can handle any kind of data, you need to make it as any. If you make REST parameter as a string, then string type array, number type array, then it can pass only string arguments, only number arguments. But arguments type can be any type. So how do you define the REST parameter? REST parameters in a function requires type to be configured as any array to be configured as any array because by default REST is any array. So syntactically, if you are defining a function and the function name and we have dot dot dot, we have params and it is an any type array. That is how we define REST. And here return is void or some type. And we know the rules of REST parameter. So function can also use the spread operator to spread values, spread arguments into multiple parameters. We know spread also, there is no difference here. So we have a function name dot 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 and it is argument. That's how we pass spread arguments into a function. So dealing with various types of arguments inside a function. Right? So all function basics are same. Function recursion, function closures, all. You learned JavaScript function basics, all are same. Only the new is about the return type and the parameter type. These are key points you need to understand. So rest of function basics, no need to explain, right? Already we know that. I'll just copy this example. This is one function related example. How do we handle that? That's a basic one. This is index.ts, right? So now we have a complete idea on TypeScript data types, TypeScript variables, and TypeScript functions, how to write functions. This is important because now tell me what is the component function type in React. That means actually in React, so we create functions. Component is a function. So function and component is login. Right? Now what is its return type? What is the return type of a component function in React, in TypeScript? Is it a number? Is it a string? Is it a boolean or is it a void? Obviously it is not void because it uses return. No? It uses return. No? That means it uses return. And what it returns? It returns a container, right? Now, what is that type of this? What is its type? What is that type that it returns? It returns an JSX element. JSX element, na, that is whatever it returns. A component returns JSX, right? In the rules of component also I given that point. If you check the rules, I showed you that a component function must return JSX element. And if it is returning JSX element, then its type must be JSX element. So you have a predefined type called JSX element. It is JSX element type. Later you will see that, but just you need to know that this is the new what you have to define. But in React, people don't have an habit of writing the type because type inference will detect automatically which type it is returning. If it is returning number, return type will be number. If it is returning JSX, it can make it as JSX, right? But just to understand this, we need to know. Next important, now in TypeScript, what are some new things you should know is TypeScript object-oriented programming features. TypeScript related OOP features and OOP related concepts. What is something new here? So what JavaScript is not having and what TypeScript is having in the concept of object-oriented programming. So actually JavaScript also have OOP concepts, but limited. But in TypeScript, there are so many new things to understand. So first important, you need to know in the OOP concepts. First, we need to understand the concept of, we need to know about contracts in object-oriented programming. So at high level, experience level, that means, see, if you put 10 years experience, then questions will be like this. What is a contract in OOP? Because people who claim that they know OOP language or something, and who people who claim that I am experienced or something, then by talking to them just for 1 minute, we can get to a conclusion that he is skilled, experienced professional, or just one of the fake, right? Because we can just, the the terms he speaks, that tells that he is just a learner level developer. He is not an experience. The terms itself give a clarity on that. So generally, what is a contract in object oriented programming? In object oriented programming, when you build any component, every component, when we design, it have to follow certain rules. For example, I will give a general concept here. Means actually you know this, but you know that word in a general way, not in a technical way. So for example, I will give you a simple concept here. Suppose, so you are a database designer. That means in a software company, your job is designing database. Designing database, you are a database designer. And what is your job? Design database for a project. So for a project, you need to design the database, right? The project is some like hospital management system. That is the project. For that, you need to design a database. Now tell me, what is the reference used by a database designer to design database? I have to design database for this project. What is the reference? Simply, you will imagine and design a table, table name, field name, data types, relationships. Will you imagine and design? Or will you follow a prototype? Will you follow a rule? Obviously, in any real world project, you will not do any imagination jobs. Right? There is no chance. You have to follow some reference. What is that reference? What is the reference followed by people? You know, if you are a database designer, do you know to prepare a database? Actually, we prepare database models. We have four models: conceptual model, physical model, logical model, and entity model. Every database is designed according to these models. That means conceptual, physical, logical, entity. This is very basic thing. Conceptual model means it will contain information about the modules that need data. That means you have a project, in that 20 modules are there. In that, all modules doesn't need data. Only few modules need data. And what are the modules that need data? That information is designed in a model called conceptual. After designing the conceptual model, we prepare a physical model. Physical model means in every module, what data need to be stored. That means what is field name, what is its data type. So field name, data type, table name, these all are decided in physical model. After preparing physical model, we prepare a logical model. In logical model, we identify relationship between the data. Which module is having relation with which another module, right? We identify relationships. After that, we finally prepare a entity model. Entity model contain table name, field name, data type, relationships, and everything. And we prepare a diagram called ER diagram, entity relationship diagram. And this is the diagram which is used to design a database for our project. What is the reference used by a database designer in any project? The reference used by a database designer is entity model. What is entity model? It is a contract for designing database. Contract means what? It is a contract for designing database. So suppose, for example, we have, we are having, let's say, these are actually different data models. This is just example. Some project related data models I am having, I am showing you. This is conceptual model. Conceptual model usually looks like this. In conceptual model, we prepare the list of modules that needs data. After conceptual model, we prepare a physical model. Physical model contains like this. That means table name, field name, data types, all are defined in physical model. After the physical model, we will prepare a logical model. In logical model, we have relationship, foreign key, primary key, relations we define. After that, we prepare an entity model. This is the final model. Table name, field name, relationship, data types, everything are defined in this. A developer designs database by seeing this. That means the final project related database must be ready in the database management system as per this diagram. You cannot miss any field from this. You cannot add any extra field which is not in this. You cannot mismatch the data type. Remember, all models will go review process. We prepare conceptual model, it will go for review and come. We prepare physical model, it will go for review and come. In review, they decide, they check, are any fields missing? Is any data type is missing? Any data type mismatching? According to client requirements. So what is this ER diagram? It is a contract for designing database. What do you mean by a contract? Can you miss anything from here? No. Can you add anything which is not there here? No. Exactly this. We don't want your ideas, your interests, anything to put here. You have to just design what is given to you. These are rules. In every project development, we have some rules. And how to configure the rules? These rules are called as what? Contract. Contract is nothing but what? So a contract defines set of rules for designing a component. A contract defines set of rules for designing a component. And usually how you design rules, how you configure the rules, how you design the rules. And rules are defined. Rules are defined in OOP languages. Rules are defined in OOP languages by using interface. By using interface. If anybody asks you a question, what is the purpose of interface in OOP language? What is your answer? In general, earlier, if anybody asked you, what is the purpose of interface in object-oriented programming? What was your answer? Why we have to use interfaces? What is the job of interface? Hmm? That means you are explaining the purpose. Means you are explaining how it behaves. Its behavior you are explaining, but its purpose not. That means you cannot create an object for it. That is its behavior. First question is why you are creating an interface? What is its job? What is its role? In any object oriented programming, interfaces are used for designing rules. They are used for designing rules. Rules are configured by using interface. These rules are implemented by your classes. These rules are implemented by your types. So that means a contract refers to rules, and rules are designed by using interface. High level architects will never call interface word. They use the word called contracts. Right? In object, we don't use interface as a word. That is a general learner word actually. That means interface is a learner's word. It's not a architect's word. Architects always use the word contract. Design a contract. Where is its contract? Can you access the contract? We use these words. We will not ask what is its interface name. What is the interface? Where is the interface? We don't ask that. That means contract defines rules. Define rule. That's the reason if you have observed, suppose we created var. So data type, suppose manufactured, it is a date. And we are using what? New date. New date. And the point is, what is date? The date will define rules for date. It must be in year, month, day. What is it? It is a rule. right? It must be year, month, day. It is a rule. That means what is that date? That date is an interface. You see, the date is an interface. So interface, it sets the rules for storing date and time. So anywhere, the purpose of interface is to define rules. There is nothing else additionally you need to tell, right? See, interviews have some techniques and tricks. You are attending, ask you some question. Always try to answer the question with a technical word. Don't try to explain your answer. That means if anyone asks what is an interface, now you tell a lengthy explanation about it. Lengthy explanation like this will happen, like this will happen, like that will happen. Then interviewer will pick a question from your explanation again. That means you will say like this it will happen. Then he will say why not like that it can happen. That means now you are making your question complicated. He will go in depth about the concept. Why? Because you are giving the scope, you are explaining him. When you are explaining him, you are in trouble. So what is the correct way to solve the interview answer is just hit the technical word. That means what is the purpose of interface? To design contract. 100% you given the answer and he don't have scope to go into it. And if he is willing to go into it, then he will go. Otherwise, your answer finish. There is no explanation required because the name itself tells that, okay, you know correctly exactly about it. Once you start explaining, so we can do like that, we can do like this, it will do, then he will pick up questions from them again. So that is the reason experience and freshers should know that the answer should be a technical term, not an explanation. Your interview answer should be a technical term, not explanation. Right? That is the reason these technical words are important. Why it is called contract? Interfaces are called contracts because you cannot violate the contract. As per the contract, we have to design. You can't violate the rules. According to the rules only, we have to design. You have to design. So contract defines some rules. And what is advantage of this interface is why we create an interface, because you can reuse the rules. You can reuse and extend the rules. Extend the rules. We can reuse and extend the rules. If you defined the contract, what is advantage is you can reuse the rules, you can extend the rules easily. For example, I will show you which already we done. That means, for example, see, we are designing where product. Product is an object. And we need a structure for this. Last session we learned. It needs ID, it needs name, it needs price. Then how we design? We created a column and in that we defined the structure. We defined the structure. Now the same structure I want to use for some other place. Then will you build the structure again? That's not a good idea. Then what we do is we create an interface. Interface name I product. Any name you can give. Traditionally, interfaces are given with I prefix. Any name you can give. And what is the rule? It should have an ID, which data type should be number. It should have a name whose data type should be string. It should have a stock whose data type should be Boolean. Now this interface you can implement here. That means we can use the type product. That means now it is reusable. We can reuse from any place. Now this is using a contract. That means according to this contract, you have to design this now. You cannot violate the rules of that particular contract. So according to the contract, what is missing? So missing is ID, name and stock. So, okay, ID, I am defining some ID. So name, I am defining some name. What is still missing? Still missing is stock. Stock is missing. That means we define stock as true. That's how we design. That means what is the job of an interface in any object oriented programming in the world? So the purpose of interface is to design contracts. It is to design contracts. We can create contracts and we can implement the contracts. So the technical term of interface is actually contract, right? Interface is a general usage, right? If you say interface, then interviewer gets a clarity. He is ordinary. He is not an architect level skilled person. That means once he hears the word from you, interface, that means that's clean. That he is an ordinary OOP learner. He is not expert in OOP. No expert in OOP language will use the word called interface directly. He will use the concept called contract, right? That means interfaces are contracts. So contracts for different reasons we will use for different purpose, right? Now interface is generally used for designing contracts, and it can contain rules for both properties and methods. We can have rules for both properties and methods, not only just for properties. You can have rules for properties and methods. And remember, it can contain only rules, not their definition. Not their definition. It can contain only rules, not definition. That means you can tell that there must be a door, right? There must be a door, and according to the contract they must keep a door. And what type of door, that you can decide later, but there must be door. And which door should be there, they cannot mention that exactly because it may change. That means what you can say, their name should be a ID, must be a number, and what should be that ID you cannot give, because you are just designing a contract. In contract you don't tell me what to keep, I will decide. You just tell that what you type you need, right? That means it is a number type. So which number I will decide. You don't tell me about that because that is my requirement. That is my requirement. That means in a contract you will say that I will design this. Okay, you have to design this. In the design, what colors, what effects, you don't decide, I will decide. You don't decide and give me the colors also. Colors I will choose. You just give me the component. I will decide the rules. Means I will decide the values. Here it can have only rules, it cannot have the values. Contract cannot contain any definition, it can contain only the rules. And important, it contain rules for method also. That means what? Suppose we are giving price is what type? Number. And we are giving quantity is also what type? Number. And we are giving total is a function, and it is what type? It should return a number. And we have print. What is print? Print is a method. It's what type? Void. Like this we have to define. I'll just remove the stock. That means according to the contract you need all this. According to the contract you need all this. You have ID, you have name, we have price, it is a number. We need a quantity also number. Total must be a method which returns number. That means what we do, we return a total is a function. What it function have to do? And you observe carefully, it shows error because the function have to return, it is void type currently, but it should return what? It should return a number. That means we need to make sure that it is returning a number, this dot quantity into this dot what price. And still it is not satisfied. Why? Because print is missing. Then we define a print. Print is a function which will print all the details. Right. This is basic how you define the rules for both properties as well as methods. And printing, you know, you can do that. Console log, we have an ID, this dot ID. So we have a name. So this dot name, and we have a price. So this, slash n. So price is this dot price, and we have slash n. Quantity. Quantity is this dot quantity, and total is what? This dot total. And all these are configured and defined. And you see how to access that product dot what? Print. That is going to print all the details. That means it is going to access all the details. Let me compile this and run this. It is going to get all the data. That means a contract can contain rules about both properties as well as methods. That means we can have the rules for both properties and methods, right? So how do you define the contract and implement the contract? Now in the contracts, we have so many things: extending contracts, optional rules, read-only rules, so many are there that we'll see tomorrow. Right, in tomorrow's session, we will go very in depth about the OOP features, which you don't see in JavaScript. But these are very important for React TypeScript. So we need to use them. So in tomorrow's session, we will discuss, right? Abstract classes, interfaces, and other type of concepts will come here. We will understand. Okay, tomorrow we'll see.